happening? What's happening? Welcome to another episode of The Den, a space for men. I'm your man, Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me in the house with my other dudes. Oliver, I'm just say it this way. Ali, the other half of Den Ali. I was gonna call you the worst half, but you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ali and my dude Sheldon. What's going on, fellas?
What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
Listen, man, I got the the wake up voice today, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well,
normally I get to do a little me. I ain't get to do that today. So.
You want the wake up music? Hold on one second. Let's get you the wake up stuff. Here we go. Come on, Ali.
Oh man.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Den, the space for men. Yeah.
We gotta bring the energy back up. Yeah. So, gentlemen, listen. So glad that y'all have seen fit to awaken this morning again. We got a fabulous guest this morning. We've been enjoying our shows over the last few months. I've been getting so much feedback about just the conversation, the need for it, and men, even though it's at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, waking up and saying, listen, we need to have these conversations more often. What type of feedback have y'all been getting, man?
Man, I'm sitting here right now sharing it in every place that I can share it. Make sure that folk come in. I just actually connected with two gentlemen this past week for the first time. Just through some other individuals, man, and this was one of the things that we talked about. It's like, listen, you got to jump in on this thing on Sunday that's going on and get in this conversation. So yeah, I'm excited.
Nice.
Same here. You know, last conversation, I was getting a bunch of messages from different chat groups that I'm a part of, and they were like, "Yo, you know, it's so crazy that these conversations are happening because they've been necessary for a long time." But I think it's just, you know, a little bit of man pride that kind of got in our way from actually having them. So it's great that the Den, a space for men, is available. You know,
love it.
One Sunday a month to have this conversation, but it's real good.
All right. Well, listen, y'all. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and a friend of mine made a post several weeks ago, and it caught my attention, and I was like, man, we got to have this conversation with him. Dr. Myron Edmonds, y'all know this cat. He's super energetic, he's just, anytime he speaks, people pay attention. So, and he made a post about promoting mental health for men and almost putting men on notice, giving them the challenge. Listen, you got to get yourself to therapy. You got to get yourself taken care of. You got to have a therapist on speed dial for you, right? So he was looking to get that for himself and challenging men to do that for themselves. So let's bring this brother on, Dr. Myron Edmonds. What's going on, man?
Doc
Yo,
Edmonds.
what up? What's good, man? How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Good, man.
Awesome, man. Listen, we got Dr. Will Moreland, 6 a.m. on the West Coast. Yeah, but you're watching. Love it. Thanks so much, Doc. So what's happening, man? I said you're traveling, you're doing your thing. What's happening in your world, man?
I'm in Huntsville right now. Before I even go there, I have to say all three of you in some form or fashion have impacted me in the virtual space. Oliver, been watching what he and his wife have been doing. And I remember I reached out to him just like, yo, I love it. Sheldon just helped me this week. We were in a bind just this week, and he helped me out. And then I got an appointment with Robert this week for another bind that I'm in. So all y'all didn't help me out of some binds. Oliver kept me married. Sheldon kept me online. And Robert's about to take me to the next level. So appreciate all that.
Right.
Love it.
But I'm in Huntsville. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama right now for a wedding. So listen, you said bring the energy, bruh. It's 8 o'clock here. Y'all on that Eastern Standard Time. I want you to know how much I love you, brother. I got up out of the bed early this morning on a Sunday, man. Come on, man. Give me some love.
Yeah. We love it.
Good stuff.
We love it. So listen, man,
speaking of impact,
go ahead, man.
I was speaking of impact, man. Just everything that the doc is doing is is just phenomenal. And I know you and I need to get together again, and I'm going to make that happen. But just everything that you have been doing for men and that you have been doing to just impact lives, man, it is definitely not going unnoticed. And folk like myself, man, just soaking that stuff in. You know, there's people like me, like I'm one of those guys, you may not see a lot of comments or that much interaction from day to day, but man, just so many things that I've heard and so many little nuggets that you dropped in some of those videos, and just some of the, and not even just the videos, man, just going back to the preaching and just, you know, just everything that happens, you know, in your life, man, is very impactful as well, man. Just want to definitely big you up for that and what you're doing, man, to empower lives just across the board, man. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's funny. Appreciate that, man. I've told people, man, I've died that you might live. You know, listen, ain't no glam to this, man. Most of the stuff I'm talking about, if not all, is just, you know, my own personal stuff. I'm just crazy enough. I don't even call it courage. I'm just crazy enough to be talking about all my business on Front Street. And I got a wife who's cool enough to let me do it. So yeah, man, I appreciate the encouragement. Yeah.
Listen. Yeah. That's the thing right there. So gents, let's jump in. First of all, I see quite a few of y'all that are on live. If you're on live hanging with us, listen, just pop some stuff in the comments so that we can acknowledge you, so that we can pop you on screen, so that we can have you interactively as a part of this conversation. So we're talking mental health this morning. So Myron, let's start with you, man. What made you decide, let me put this challenge out there for men and therapy? What was going on? Was it just, something happening in your world, or you just were looking at people that are like, we got too many crazy men out here. We got what's your catalyst, man?
Man, listen, it was basically that. So I'm encouraging men on a regular basis to take care of their mental health. I harken back to this comment that Marshawn Lynch made. Marshawn Beast Mode Lynch, running back, used to play for the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if y'all remember. He would never take interviews, man, this guy. And he would never say anything. And I remember at the end of his career, man, he was just like, look, let me go ahead and say something real quick to y'all. He said, I want all y'all young players out there to take care of your bodies, take care of your chickens. I'm assuming chickens is money. I'm pretty sure it is. And then he said, take care of your mentals. And funny thing is, man, I took it as a mantra. I've been out here promoting mental health. I got degrees and this stuff. And man, I wasn't doing it myself. I wasn't doing it myself. So I actually had a therapist, and then that I discontinued that with that therapist. And so I was like, you know what? I need to go on ahead and live what I'm preaching and deal with all this stress. And I really feel like, man, the more you're doing, you don't even have to. We were talking pre-show, and we're just talking about how sometimes people think you need therapy if something bad is happening or something of that nature. But really, man, if you're a Black man living in America, and really just in this world, but I'll just use America as an example, then I mean, you need somebody to talk to get a lot of this stuff that we've been internalizing. I was kind of blown away to find out that only 25% of African Americans take advantage of mental health services. And of course, one of the major preventers of it, number one, is access. They don't have access to it. And then the second piece is the stigma behind it. So in our community, whether you're Southern African American or Caribbean, African American or African American, there's a stigma about being crazy and needing it and so forth and so on. So here I am trying to undo these stigmas, but I wasn't taking advantage of it myself. So I was like, you know what? While I'm looking for one, I'm going to try to make a challenge out of this and try to challenge other brothers to join me in taking advantage of the services. And the truth is we got more brothers now with insurance and the capacity to be able to do it, and they're not taking advantage of it. So yeah, man, I'm just trying to use my experience to help other brothers operating from a position of, hey, I'm with y'all. I'm not above you. But sometimes we get distracted and we put it off, and the next thing you know, our bodies and our minds tell us, bro, you need to go on, sit down somewhere and get somebody to help you work through some stuff.
Yeah. So we hear the word, like the two words mental health, and it's just kind of this thing. It's a buzzword. It's May is mental health month. But let's break it down a little bit. When we're talking about mental health, fellas, what really, especially as men, let's get real. What are you talking about? What are we talking about? What do we need to be doing, and why are we afraid of dealing with this stuff? Go ahead, Shell.
So, I'll say it from two perspectives. I think I'll say it from the archaic perspective first. I think the archaic perspective states that mental health, like Myron appropriately stated, was that you're crazy. There's something that you have to fix, that you're crazy. Or another perspective is, I don't have it together, so I need somebody to help me. But I don't think that is the case. I think mental health for me is, how is your mind doing? How you use it so often. How, you need somebody to kind of help you go through a process sometimes, because you're tired. You're tired. Out of any muscle you use, I'm hoping that your mind is the most used. And it's just like any other muscle, it gets fatigued. It gets fatigued. So, That's right. If it gets fatigued, it's not going to be as equipped for things that are major. Because it's just tired. And that's just really, basic math. I'm one more point, and I'll throw it out there again. Basic math for my children. I have a second grader, and when I am tired, I am easily frustrated to help my second grader with 1 + 1. But when I'm in a good headspace, I can appropriately tell my second grader how to add those things. But if I'm frustrated, I can't give him the help that he needs, because my mind is already done.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
So that's right. It.
I would say, and I agree with that, and I would say the other side of that coin, if you will, is if you just think about the word health in general, right? If you think about your physical health, there may not be something wrong with your body, but there's certain things that you do to maintain or to prevent, right? So you may eat right as a way to prevent some things happening with your body, or you may exercise to prevent certain things, or to stay or maintain what you already have. And I think with mental health, that's something we don't think about, right? Yes, there's a side of it where, there are some things that you may be holding on to that you need to let go of. There's some things that are packed in that need to be unpacked. But then, again, what the doc was saying too, there's a other side of that, right? Where you're just putting yourself in a position to maintain what is happening with your mind right now, or to prevent you going down the rabbit hole of, resentment, or needing to have things that need to be unpacked. And so I think that's the other side of it. And sometimes we don't, with that stigma, right? We feel like we only have to go when it's the other side, when I'm just like floundering, right? But there's a preventative side of that too. Like, you need to go so that you maintain the space that you feel like you might be in. That's a good space as well. So,
yeah, but you're all talking about rest, right? Or you're talking about, you use the example of your mind as a muscle, and that mind getting overwhelmed, and you kind of need to take care of that. Can I just do that by just, going to the gym? Can I do that just by going to, taking a day off or whatever, hopping on the PS5, hopping on like Xbox? Can I just like get back to myself by doing that? Why do I need to go find a therapist, or why do I need to go find some mental health professional? Because it makes me feel like something is wrong with me. I'm not talking about me, Robert. I'm just talking about the question. It makes us feel like something's up. I mean, why do I need to go and get some extra help?
Well, let me say this. First of all, I think you're asking a good question, and the brothers said some really insightful things as it relates to just taking care of yourself. But I think that's the problem in general with men. Men have not, we've not really been socialized to go and get help for anything. So we don't go to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? We barely ask people for money if we're in a bind. We just been taught that, hey, look, you just have to figure it out. You know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And, you know, we got this image of a self-made man, you know what I'm saying, who made it, and he did it all by himself. And sadly, we just got a historical line of casualties of men, our fathers, our uncles, who we all know we're in a bad space because we're the result of it. You know, many of us are carrying pains and traumas that we know we didn't, you know what I'm saying, we didn't create ourselves. They were passed down to us from our fathers and stuff like that. But we never had these conversations. Nobody ever really gave men permission, you know, to say that they need help. I honestly, let me just be totally transparent with you guys. One of the reasons why I have been so passionate about reaching out to men in the past, I'd say past 12 months or so. I mean, I just got laser focused on this thing. Is just be real. There's so much discussion and protection in my mind, and a lot of women are going to be offended by this, but there's a lot of protection in our society right now for women and for women's rights and for women's health and things of that nature. This is a controversial statement, so I'm just going to say this now. I think one of the most neglected people, though, in America is a Black man. Period. I know our sisters have issues, and I'm not here to denigrate or to disrespect or to undermine the movement. You know, I believe in equal rights and things of that nature. I wouldn't describe myself as a feminist per se, but what I would say is that there is much help and much attention vis-a-vis the Me Too movement, vis-a-vis feminism and so forth, for caring for the health of women. What I'm saying is there's not a lot of that going on for men. And brothers, I think, are neglecting themselves. I'll first and foremost say that, but there's not been a lot of permission given and access given and opportunities given and attention being given to men. So what you'll hear is a lot of sisters talk about patriarchy and how men are hurting women. Well, I believe that hurt people, and I think a lot of brothers are behaving the way they're behaving in a sense. And I'm not blaming this on women. I'm just saying, societally speaking, you know, it's not okay for a man to say he needs help. I was just looking at some statistics before this. It says only 25% of us go get help. Yeah. And, you know, out of that 25% of African-American people, I don't even know what the number is, but they probably can't even get a legit number. But, you know, it's got to be a minuscule amount of Black men that are going to get help just because of, you know, the stigma of getting help. So when we even talk about mental health, bro, we not getting help for nothing. And so we start talking about mental health. There's so much stigma associated with that, weakness. You know what I'm saying? Am I crazy? And so here's what I'd like to say all the time. There is no way in the world that you can separate a man's arm or his leg from his body and he'd be healthy. If somebody were to just cut your leg off or cut your arm off, unless it was for some surgical procedure, but even with that, you'll never really be the same again. It's the same way with mental health. You cannot separate your mental health from your physical health. It's just the way God built us. And as a matter of fact, I'll end by saying this: almost the majority, as a matter of fact, in America, the number one reason why people seek pharmaceutical help is for mental disability. It's for mental disability. We're spending more money than any country on the planet on mental disability. What that basically points out is that, listen, you cannot separate one's mental health from one's physical health. And stress is one of the number one killers. And some have argued it's the number one public health crisis for people in our country, and specifically for African-American men. So we gotta first break the stigma. And I know I'm saying a lot, but I'm just passionate. We got to break the stigma of, I don't need to get no help. I'm good. I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I'm dealing, and then like Sheldon said, you lash out at your kids. You know what I'm saying? Or you crying yourself to sleep at night, but you can't tell your wife, or you just don't feel yourself. You're always on edge. There's a reason for that. And there's a brother who wrote a book called The Body Keeps Score. Your body remembers every major trauma that's ever happened to you. It remembers. And it can be it could be a carcinogen, which means it could produce cancer, heart disease, all of this stuff. When you get a chance, look up this concept called John Henryism. John Henryism is the idea of this black man. It's really a metaphor of this black man who outworked a machine. And so there was a competition. Said, I'm gonna outwork this machine. He outworked the machine, but when he was done, he died. And so and so basically what they say is women get help, but men die. And so we perform well, but at what expense, right? And it's generally at the expense of our own health.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Can I answer your question real quick, Bobby? You asked about can't I play PS3? Can't I go biking?
You're like 10 years ago. We're up to PS5.
PS5, sorry.
No.
PS5. PS6, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? But so I think all those things are maintenance things. But the other parts of my statement would be this. I feel like many of us not only self-prescribe or self-diagnose, as well as trying to self-heal, but that's not necessarily our space. That's not our, that is not our skill set. Why are we not going to the doc? You don't see me going on Google. I have a laceration on my arm that requires stitches. I'm not going on Google to go, look up a surgery and try to, put my arm back together. Sepsis is going to set in and the rest of my body's going to die. Right. So, why in this situation here am I saying, I can heal myself with food? Why am I saying to myself, I can heal myself with these things? Right. That's not my area of expertise. I need to go find a mechanic for my brain who knows how to use the tools, who can give me information. You know what I mean? And he may say, hey, take 15 minutes and play PS5 or that may be one of his things that he gives me to do. It very well may be. Yeah. But who knows? He actually may tell me to go journal. He may tell me, create a vision board. He may tell me things that are going to rock my world. A couple weeks ago, we had Dr. Johnny on. And when he was saying the things that he does with his family, with the vision board, it kind of resonated with me, as you guys know, because of, how my house runs, because of my wife. That's her world. So, I kind of feel like, we try to do these things for ourselves, hoping that it will work. But truth be told, dude, I'm about to be 43, man. I'm terrible when it comes to mental maintenance.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just factual. I'm terrible when it comes to mental maintenance.
I agree with that. I think it's for some of us, and I know I can speak for myself, for some of us, it's not even realizing that is a viable outlet based on how we were raised, based on how we were taught to internalize things or to figure things out. Right.
Yeah.
I remember hearing these two words all the time: apply yourself. So I'm like, okay, I got to figure this thing out. And so to speak to the PlayStation and that, those are bandages. Those are like those moments to give me a chance to breathe, and so I can figure it out on my own. Yeah. So let me go sit down and shoot up some stuff real quick, and that'll give me a chance to figure this thing out on my own. I'm still not necessarily using that as a way to gain some healing or perspective. I'm using it as a way to kind of sit down and figure this thing out and fight it out within myself. And then when I put the controller down, I can just keep moving and internalize, and maybe I chipped a piece of it away, but I didn't get all of it away. And so just kind of, looking at that from a different perspective. And you talked about the laceration, Shell, that's kind of what we do. We have this laceration, but we're trying to figure it out. And we're like, you know what? I got this laceration. It probably requires, we don't even know that it requires surgery. We have the laceration and we're like, okay, I'm going to put the PS5 Band-Aid on it real quick. So maybe I can figure out how to stop bleeding on my own.
Yeah. I want to add an additional perspective to this though, because Myron said hurt people. Sheldon's using the comment about the laceration, and also I'm looking in the comments. Patrick Sampson is saying, as a man, sometimes vulnerability hurts. It feels like a lot of the fear comes because we are thinking about this only from a perception or from a perspective of hurt. And as before we did this, before we started, I was in the backstage with Myron, and I was saying several years ago, I said to my wife, babe, I feel like I need to go to talk with someone, right? I feel like I need to go get a therapist. And she was like, why? What's going on? I said, nothing's going on. I just feel like I do, because at that point, it wasn't necessarily anything negative. It's kind of like if you think about your life as a bottle, right? You've got every experience that you have goes into that bottle. It's like the surprise birthday party. Yay, that's good. That goes into the bottle. It's like your kid. My daughter's heading off to college right now, right? That's a great experience. It goes into that bottle, right? My sons are learning how to drive. Oh my gosh, that's great. It goes into the bottle. Okay, a trauma happens, it goes into the bottle. So all of this stuff is not bad. It's not just hurt. It's all of the good stuff. It's everything that happens in your life. It goes to the bottle. And again, if you think about the bottle, the good and the bad going into the bottle's getting filled, like with all of that stuff, right? So at some point, the bottle gets to the top and it begins to overflow a little bit, not just with the bad stuff, not just with the hurt stuff. It's like everything that's in that bottle goes up to the top. So how do you deal with that stuff? Is there a space that you can have where you can, like, you know, make a little hole somewhere in the bottle and begin to offlet some of the pressure that's coming into that space? And I think I wanted to add that perspective into the conversation, because I don't want men to just kind of feel like I need to go to lay on somebody's couch because I'm messed up, or because I'm full of like flaws, and if I go, that's just gonna confirm in my mind that, dude, you got some stuff going on. And yeah, I mean, we do have stuff going on, but it's not just the bad stuff. It's the accumulation of everything that with societal pressures, all of the things that you've got going on, the great stuff. You're trying to go for your doctorate. You're trying to do this in school. You're trying to Myron, you're trying to run a church. Shelly, you're trying to build a company. Ali, you're trying to build a company. You're trying to do this stuff. All of this stuff together, right, equals. So that's I think I said all of that. So how do I begin to recognize? Is there, I mean, I want to get like real. What are the physical things? What are some of the things that make me begin to recognize that it's time? I know for me, and I'll throw this to y'all in a second. I know for me, my body starts to feel there's like a tension. There's like a little bit of, you start to recognize the feeling of overwhelm. It's kind of like I did my second vaccination a few weeks ago. And I was okay. And then I started to feel several hours later, a little bit of a shiver, and I recognized it as like feeling like the beginning of the flu. Right? I physically recognized it. So like from a mental, what are the things that we need to begin looking out for? What, you know, as men, what can we look out for?
Irritation.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I mean, he said irritation, agitation, all these things. But let me step back just a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't need anything to be obviously wrong to want to, and this is the message I really want to get out. Like, we don't, even as it relates to like physical health, we all of us are in a part of a faith space, right? That encourages what you guys were talking about earlier, which was like preventative stuff, right? We wouldn't really need to be going to, the ER if we were eating right. if we were exercising. You know what I'm saying? If we were doing all those things. What often gets left out, though, is a part of that triad of our health is this mind, body, and spirit. But one of the brothers posted something, and I think Oliver mentioned it in his. See, here's the issue. I think the real issue with us is we don't want to be in any space that requires us to be vulnerable. Period. The reason why it's sexier to go to the gym than it is to go to a therapist, because in effect, we're trying to do the same thing. We work out. Some brothers work out to be healthy. A lot of brothers work out to look good. I mean, so you can be cut and ripped and still not be healthy. And so look at some of the most successful people, your what's your boy's name from Tesla, Elon Musk, and right. Look, all these big time names, dude who runs Google, all these people, all these folks have something in common. They have a rigorous schedule. They have a lot of demands on them, but man, they're very conscientious about their health, and they're conscientious about all their health. So I want to throw out to brothers like this. It don't mean there got to be something wrong with you, but if you want to have peak performance, if you want to have optimal performance, if you want to be successful in everything that matters the most to you, then why not be as concerned about your mental space as you are about your physical space? Because your mental space is really what's going to give you the edge. You look at athletes now. Athletes are sitting down getting counseling. LeBron James spent $2 million on his body. Part of that is he sits down, he talks, he rests throughout the day. This dude, LeBron James, they said sleeps 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day. Like, imagine that. Takes 2 and 3 hour naps in the middle of the day, sleeps 8 hours a night. Tom Brady, the same thing, hired some kind of psychiatrist to help him deal with focus, help him dealing with being present. So what these guys are doing is they're looking at it from the place of, I need an edge. I want an edge. If I'm going to have an edge, I can't just have a physical edge, but I need to have a mental edge. So think about all of this. These are athletes, people that we look up to. They recognizing this stuff. Your boy, Jay-Z. Jay-Z telling us in the 444 that he sit down with a therapist. Look, people are realizing if you're smart, and that's how I'm going to frame it, and I'm not trying to shame nobody, but if you're a smart person, you're going to realize I need to take care of every single part of my life, my body, you know what I'm saying? My mental space, my spiritual space, my relationships. I want to be at peak performance. And that's how I'm operating from this now. I don't got to have nothing wrong with me because I wouldn't be able to know if I did. Like, I just want to be sharp. I just want to be sharp. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of brothers are never going to see that they're going to need it because we don't know what to look for. Man, ain't nobody told us what to look for. You know, we've been used to grinding our whole lives and sucking it up our whole lives. So we really wouldn't know unless we almost dead that we need to go get some help. So what I'm saying is think about it from a success perspective. How can I be the best I possibly can be for my wife, for my children? You know what I'm saying? In my career, my focus, all that type of stuff. My addictions, my habits. Man, go and get somebody to help you master that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's great stuff, man. That's the perspective, I believe, that especially as Black men, that's a great perspective to portray, right? Because that's something we can attach to. That resonates with us, that peak performance. I want to be on the top, at the top of my game. But we don't think about it, like the doc said, we don't think about it as it relates to our mental stamina and our mental space, right? And building that up as well to be at peak performance. But I love how you put that, because for somebody who is just a driven person and who is like, yeah, I'm trying to do this in business, I'm trying to do this in my family, I'm trying to do this in the marketplace, I'm trying to do this. Now I'm like, oh yeah, so I could even expand that and really kind of kill this thing if I get my mental right and I'm focused and it's the words, right? It's the connotation and it's the stigma that we got to really kind of dispel and redirect people's thoughts about what that is. And I love what you said, man, just that getting at the top of your game, peak performance in every area. And so you get a coach, if you're trying to be good in the sports world, you get a coach if you're trying to be good in the business world. As an executive, there's coaches for all these things. Get yourself a mind coach. Round it all out.
Can I give an interesting? Can I give an interesting?
One second, Sean. I just want to shout out some of these comments here. Hugh Smith Jr. He's saying you change the oil in your vehicles because you want the engine to last.
That's right.
Right. I'm looking on YouTube. Jason Allen is saying men we need to openly ask for help. Philip Lee saying too many times we are reactive instead of proactive. And I'm seeing some other stuff here, man. Marvin Simmons, hey, what's up, buddy? Live in Miami. Society is used to portraying seeking mental health as a negative thing. We would see someone on TV balled up on the couch crying uncontrollably. Ooh, and no one wants to do that. Oh, yeah. I got something. Go ahead, Sheldon.
So part of a lot, and I do this a lot, but my children are very important to me. And in the transparent moment, right? So on Friday, my oldest son and I were having a conversation about, just we were going through a tense point. Let me put it like that, right? And he said to me, now I'm gonna flip this back. He said to me, Daddy, when I'm on the floor and I hurt myself, you don't pick me up. And I said to him, but Darius, you're not looking at the things that I actually do to help you get up. I tried to coach you through a lot of this stuff. And that was my initial reaction. The very next day, I had a conversation with somebody. And when I said it to them, they said to me, you didn't hear what he said.
Wow.
They said, you didn't hear what he said. He said to you that, Daddy, sometimes I need help to get up. Sometimes, good. Daddy, I need help to get up. And as men, sometimes we need help to get up. It does not mean that we're hurt.
Wow.
But there are just days we need the help.
Wow.
And why I always bring my children into this is because this is a legacy thing. If I don't show them how to make sure that you take care of your mental health,
right,
they themselves will never want to do it.
Right.
So, Daddy, I need help. That's like us calling out to God. That's like us calling out to Jesus. I need help. And if he says, I'm not going to do it, how would we feel?
Facts.
How would we feel?
Yeah.
So to me, this is basically the whole concept of help is not only for fixing broken problems. It's also there because you just may not be equipped for certain things, and you actually just need general help to get through. And so, and I want to make sure that we as men are really imparting that on our children too. You know what I mean? Because if we don't put that on them, I promise you, they will. The next generation will be just as scarred as this one.
Yeah. I want us to. I think one of the things that is missing sometimes from some of this is that we say to men, hey, you need to do this, you should do this, but there is still fear because they don't know what it feels like. They don't know what the experience is like. I mean, I think about myself as a learner, right? There's some people, when I was a teacher, we had to prepare for the different modalities. And there was, you had the auditory learner. Some people could just listen and hear and get it. There's some people who need to see the visual. There's some people who are kinesthetic. And so right now, YouTube is cool, but I learn best. I don't like watching the replay of something. Right. I learn best if somebody's like, yo, do this. Here's step one. And we're like walking through it together. That's like my best learning. So with regard to this and men,
I'm your brother and I didn't know that, but go ahead.
No, seriously. Yeah. So yeah. I was a terrible note taker in school. I hated taking notes. I hated like the reading. So what does this feel like for men? I mean, for any of us who have been in a place of therapy, what does it literally feel like? What's the process like? What are you feeling as this happens? Can we describe that a little bit?
Man,
here's the funny thing. I was going to say, my man said earlier, he's talking about how the image of therapy is, somebody on the couch like heaving, crying and stuff. I'm just gonna be and listen. I may not even help our cause by telling y'all this. I may not help it. I'm just telling you right now. I may not help it. But let me just tell you this, man. I went in. I remember when I sat down with a therapist one of the first times, and I just start talking, and he's asking me general questions. Man, I'm telling you, man. You know that feeling where you're about to just bawl, and I don't even know where it came. Man, listen, I don't even know where it came. I don't know where it came from, man. And I wasn't even saying anything deep per se. But it was just like, oh snap, I'm in a safe space. This dude ain't judging me. Right. The freedom to just unload, so to speak. Yes. Man, it was therapeutic, and the tears began to flow. And of course, man, I ain't never been punked out about crying, and because I believe we were designed to do it. Like if we're designed to do it, like we should do it, right? So, but man, it was cathartic, man. It was therapeutic. But I will be honest with you. This is why some brothers is afraid. We kept saying this is why some brothers is afraid to do that, because of that being in that vulnerable space. They not been given the freedom to do it. But I will tell you, if you a punk about being vulnerable, I'm just being real. If you scared about being vulnerable, don't even do it. Like stay where you are. You know what I'm saying? Don't grow. You know what I'm saying? Have a fixed mindset. Don't have a growth mindset. Because when you get in those settings, and I tell people, I think you need to have at least 3 things to deal with your mental health. You need more than therapy. Therapy, you got to have, I would say, I'd recommend therapy. If you want to be peak performance, I recommend community. You need to have brothers that you can talk to and be vulnerable with. If you only got friends that you can't be vulnerable with, and it's always sports and women and work, if you can only talk about that, you need to find some friends. And the last thing I would say, you need some kind of coach or mentor. Not necessarily a paid coach, but I'm saying somebody, a mentor that you can shoot stuff off of. You got to have that trifecta in my mind. And of course, doing some other things for your health and stuff. But most men don't have none of those. And so they have no space to be vulnerable. They can't be vulnerable with their wives, can't be vulnerable at church, can't be vulnerable at work. You know what I'm saying? Can't be vulnerable. But I'm just saying, if you're scared of that, like my man said, bro, I can't promise you when you get in there, your shoulders is gonna be heaving. You know what I'm saying? Your eyes gonna be red.
Myron, the crazy part about it. So that's a wonderful side of it, right? But I think another part of it is, and I always have to be mindful that I just don't want to unload this on my wife, right? So, the how was your day question. How was your day is an open-ended, dangerous question, right? Because, that's a question that your therapist can handle. But your mate may not be able to handle just on that day when you need, and it may be a great day. Right? It may be a great day, but you know, how's your day? Listen, I'm so excited. And 5 minutes later, you've talked about 10 billion things. Your mate, you open up your eyes, you look at your mate. Your mate is looking at you crazy because you just unloaded. But that's what the therapist is there for good or for bad. Like, one of my favorite movies, and it's not a great movie, but it's one of my favorite movies because of how quirky it is. Hancock. And one of the things that he said in the movie Hancock to the police all the time was, "Good job." Remember after Jason Bateman fixed him, he was like, "Good job." The reason why that was so important to me is because sometimes we never hear that.
Right.
Sometimes we never heard the word "good job." Right. So you go to the therapist and you just unloaded. You said, "Listen, I did this. The therapist could sit back and just simply say, "Good job." You feel like the world is open to you. You go home, dude. You are walking on clouds. Your kids be like, "Daddy, can I have $10?" Sure, son. Whap. You know what I mean? You need those moments. You need somebody to just simply say, "Good job." Well done, my good and faithful servant. You need those moments. You need those moments, and sometimes the therapist is there for that.
Yeah. I like what Philip Lee's saying in the comments on YouTube here. We need safe spaces in order to ask for help. Sheldon's son asked for help because love and trust has been established. Men need to find ways to trust other men in order to heal, reflect, and grow. That's powerful, Philip, man. Wow. So Myron, you got this challenge going on, man. You're like, listen, brothers, I'm actually interviewing therapists. It's not like you just kind of went to, I'm gonna use an old reference now. It's not like you just went to the yellow pages and was like, okay, I'll pick that one. right? You're like literally interviewing therapists right now. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about your process of interviewing and making sure that you have the right therapist or the right fit for you.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why people, because a lot of people try therapy and then they quit on it and they say, I tried it, it was whack, it sucked, you know, it wasn't a good fit, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, just like even with medicine, if somebody tells you got cancer, they're going to tell you, hey, get a second opinion, you know, find somebody else. You know, how many times have we seen lives saved because, you know, they say it's called the medical arts. Even though it's science, it's an art. They're troubleshooting your body. You know, they don't have all this stuff figured out. And so it's important to get a good match sometimes, right? So what I do is just like anything, you know, you get 3 quotes. Somebody going to do your hardwood floors. You get 3 quotes. You don't go with the first quote. You know what I'm saying? Make sure it's a good fit. The price is right. Yeah. You get the right value, you know, maybe their expertise. So this is my recommendation to brothers. This is what I'm doing. I go to psychologytoday.com. That's the recommended place to go to. And you can really filter everything else out from there. You know what I'm saying? Just like you'd be buying a car, you can filter out, you know what I'm saying, where you live. You want African-American? Do you want, you know, what faith system do they want? Your insurance, all that type of stuff. And then once I whittle that down, I call them and I say, look, what's your specialty? You know, what successes have you had with African-American men? What successes have you had with men, you know, who are leaders and have a lot of responsibility? What about pastors? So I kind of look at my situation and I just ask them questions to just feel them out. It's not a perfect process, but at least it does put me in the driver's seat in terms of who I'm choosing. So my goal is to have chosen someone before the end of the month, which is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Love it. Any other input, gentlemen?
Man, I'm just loving the conversation, man. I am, as it speaks to the process, right? And just being in a safe space where you can just release some of the pressure. You know, if you think of like the Instant Pot, right? And just when it's time to push that button to let all that steam out, you got to be in a place where you can let that steam out. Your head can't be over the top of the button. If you got wood around, you don't want it to get wet. And so you want that to be in a spot where when you press that button, that thing can be released. And it's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to hurt yourself. It's not going to hurt the pot. And everything that happens after that is going to be good and gravy. And so that's that space where you can do that. Release that pressure and however that pressure comes out, you know, like Doc said, if it's crying, if it's laughing, if it's whatever it is. And it's funny, man, just moment of transparency. I never really understood the benefit of doing something like that until literally until my son had to go through the process. And when my son had to go through the process and we started doing what you said, Doc, started talking to people and trying to get that fit and seeing where there's going to be alignment. That's when I realized, okay, this is just about, you know, being able to be in a space where, and for him, be in a space where nobody's around and he can say what he needs to say. He can get off his chest what he needs to get off his chest, and then come out of that session and do some, you know, and go about his life and do some things, man. And seeing him go through that process was part of the awakening for me to realize, wait a minute, this is a piece of the puzzle that is missing in my own experience.
Wow.
is watching that process, because I was that guy. And when I say recently, I'm talking about within the last like 6 years. I'm coming to this realization that, wow, this is a piece of the puzzle that is missing.
That's good.
Like big time.
That's good. Yeah. Hey, can I piggyback? Oliver brought out something, and Sheldon said something a few minutes ago that I wanted to jump on, man, which I feel is a reason why we need to address it. And again, I just want to keep emphasizing, because I think sometimes we associate mental health care with only therapy. So I would say there's therapy, there's community, there's self-care that we can do in terms of taking care of our bodies and our minds and getting rest and taking vacations and, creating spaces where we can be vulnerable and things of that nature. But listen, these brothers both pointed out something I think is so critical. We talked about what are the signs? All right, forget the signs for a minute. Every last one of us, if we're honest with ourselves, brothers that's watching, brothers sitting here talking, we know we're dysfunctional. We know we're dysfunctional. We know we jacked up, got issues, got addictions, got way of looking at things that based on how we were raised, and it ain't all right. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it is all wrong. A lot of it, is some of it was good, but listen, if y'all was raised like I was raised, man, this just wasn't a conversation that you had. This wasn't something that you did. And so the point that these brothers both made was, listen, we have kids. We have family members that we need to help. Are we going to continue to pass down this legacy of not being vulnerable, of not getting help? And so here's another reason why I do it. And which is one of the reasons why I started the mental health challenge and trying to encourage brothers to go get therapy. Man, I'm doing this so I can create a healthier family in my home. Look, I want my son. I'm trying to challenge my son right now. Listen, talk more. My son, my daughter, she's talkative. My son isn't. So my son doesn't express his feelings a lot. I'm trying to build that relationship with him as a teenage boy where we can start talking about stuff. Where am I going to learn them tools from if I didn't learn it growing up as a kid? I got to go somewhere and get coached up, get somebody to process me through what I want my son to do. And so I love what Sheldon said before about his own son. Somebody had to point that out to him. No, that's not how you do it. Here's how you relate to your children. This is how you become a better husband. You know what I'm saying? This is how you, as a man, you parent a girl, or as a man, you parent boys. I thought parenting boys was going to be easier than parenting my daughter. What I've come to discover, at least in my situation, that it's been easier to raise my daughter than it has been to raise my son, because I see so much of myself in my son, and so I immediately go to these I would call them these strategies, these old school strategies with him, and I started losing my son. So who do I talk to about that? Where do I process this information? Who's going to give me tools and strategies and skills on how to do this stuff? So again, I keep going back to this, but these brothers brought that joint out of me. Like, if you want to be the best version of yourself, like if you want to help the people around you, why would you not be getting help? Like, you up here telling everybody else, like, do this, that, and the third, and your advice is from a narrow perspective. You only listening to yourself all day. Said the majority of the people that we talk to is ourselves. We hold one conversation all day long in our heads, and that's where we're getting advice from. Or some jackleg friends of ours that don't know what they talking about. That's on like their fourth marriage. They on their fourth marriage. Their kids don't talk to them. Get out of here, man.
Yeah. This is so critical. I think one of the things that when you were talking about your search, Myron, that is important, and I want to bring this out because I want to get rid of some of the excuses from brothers as well. You said you checked Psychology Today, but you also used the word insurance. I want it to be clear that insurance companies do consider mental health a part of your entire health cycle, right? And so you still should check your, you're kind of like, we think we work these jobs, right? And we have insurance and we're like, we only use it to go to the emergency room or urgent care or, just regular physical stuff in the hospital. But there is a component of insurance, health insurance. Mental health is still health. And so check with your insurance about that, right? So make sure that you're doing that. Take advantage, leverage your insurance for those types of things, right? Because
say
that again, Shell.
No, I was going to say on top of that, certain organizations now have therapists on their staffs, especially, COVID has caused a lot of these organizations to kind of realize that, hey, our people are stressed, that these circumstances are not normal. They're not normal. So we have to do something, because if you are expecting me to be a quality worker, you have to surround me with a situation that makes me feel good. Right?
That's good.
Right? Yeah. Because remember, life used to be 9 to 5, right? That's what life used to, we used to be able to say, yo, I'm going to work my 9 to 5. Those days are done. You hear me?
Yep.
New York, this is kind of off subject, but it's not. New York, where we grew up, Bobby, they just canceled snow days.
Right. Why would you need them? Right. No need for snow days no more. That's right.
They just canceled snow days. What does that mean?
Right.
That means I am going to work you. I am going to make you work. Those snow days were not there. I think the Lord created snow days. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I remember going through school. There was days where I was tired. I was like, Lord, please let it snow, and it came down. Let it snow. Let it snow. Listen, the snow days. There are breaks that are necessary.
Yeah,
there are breaks that are necessary. Yeah, Bobby, like you said, it. Insurance got it.
Yeah,
offices are having it. Fellas, use your vacation, use your sick days, use all of these things that are available to us. You know what I mean? I know there are a lot of us that are entrepreneurs, and I get it, but money ain't everything. Entrepreneurs need breaks too.
Yeah.
Because you can't spend it if you're dead.
Yep. Wow. So we're wrapping close on time, fellas. We're almost at the top of the hour. This conversation, listen, it's been amazing, and it's crazy how the time just flies when you're having fun and when you're talking about stuff. And I'm just kind of looking through these comments, and men need this stuff, and I want to encourage men. Listen. Don't just come here and listen to this conversation and say, "Oh yeah, Myron's talking facts." Oh yeah, that was great. Good job, Sheldon. Great analogy. Oh yeah, that was good. Some good stuff, Ollie. What is your action that you're going to take this week? What is the thing that you're going to do like today in order to take care of your mental health? And I know a lot of times we say, "Yep, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something," but then we do it and we're inside of our heads. So in addition to what is your action going to be, what will you do to get somebody or something to hold you accountable? How will you be held accountable for your mental health? Not this week, not later. What you going to do today? What is your accountability and your action for today? So each of us, let's kind of round robin here. What's your statement? What's the thing that you want to say to take us out? Go ahead, Ollie. Well, we'll start with you, man.
Man, what I would say is, just to piggyback basically on what you said, RK3, is put an action plan in place, because we are guilty of that. We are guilty of, getting the feeling wash over us. Man, that was phenomenal. That was a word that, that we say that all the time. But then after that moment passes, we don't do anything. So put an action plan in place. Write down what it is you need to accomplish. What are you trying to get performance in? And then attach some activity to those things and get into those things. So like for me, for example, I'll tell you what today is going to look like for me. I got some work I got to do this morning. My wife and I do this thing where we get outside and we may go somewhere just to clear our heads, laugh, talk, listen to music in the car, that kind of thing. That's definitely happening this afternoon. I also need to get with Myron. He hit me up a long time ago. We're trying to get together. I got to be intentional about that. So Myron, I'm hitting you up this week. So those are my two things. I'm putting it on the table in front of everybody. That's what's happening for me.
Awesome. Shell, what's your closing word, man?
Man, so I think I have two of them. One, I definitely have a group of gentlemen that I, talk to. I have my brothers as well. And, we talk quite frequently, but this, I guess my statement is a question to Myron. Do you have a chat group or a Facebook group that we can be part of. Because I think that in this instance here, this requires more than the hour that we spent. And it's not only the hour, it just can be something where we, I'm going to jump on the challenge, Myron. My wife preaches it to me constantly. So I've gone and I'm going to go again, but I'm all for it. So I'm Myron, wherever you are, there I'll be also, right? So let me know. I'm there, man. I'm there.
Yeah. Great lead in, man. So take us out, Myron. What's your closing word? And share with us the winning circle stuff too, man.
Yeah. Hey, that's a great lead in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Listen, I'm so scatterbrained, absent-minded, man. I wasn't even thinking about even mentioning the winning circle. That's like, oh snap, that's right. We do stuff for men. Let me stop, man. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, I would say there are two spaces. We have a large community of men on Facebook called the 5 Ways Men Can Win group. It's called 5 Ways Men's Group. 5 Ways Men's Group. And man, just jump in that group, man. There's a constant conversation going on about how we can win in the things that matter. People hear me out there almost cussing, talking about get your shift together. Shift together. Shift is an acronym for winning spiritually, winning in our health and wellness, which we're talking about today, winning in integrity, winning in our family, husbands and fathers, and then lastly, winning with our tribe, a community. And so a buddy of mine, we started a men's community called the Men's Winning Circle. Man, I highly recommend it. We've had about 400 brothers go through this thing, and it's literally changing lives. Brothers are starting to win in their marriages, winning, their relationship, their health. That acronym is basically the foundation and framework for what we're doing. And so menswinningscircle.com, if they're interested in being a part of a community where they can grow, be vulnerable, experience life change, it's the place, man. I'm really downplaying it right now because I don't like hyping nothing up. I want them to taste and see that it is good. But check it out, menswinningscircle.com. Now, I just want to say one thing before I jump off. Bro, it'll be a crying shame if you spending $400 a month on a car that you can't afford. You got Jordans, $250, $300 Jordans and Yeezys on your feet. You got a PS5 that you paid $700 for because they ran out and you couldn't get one off the shelf. Like, we have all of these toys, right? And you won't even invest, $150 a month in a therapy session, or you won't even take advantage. You leaving money on the table. Your job will pay for it. They'll pay for massages. Most of our jobs pay for massages. We get 20 massages and we won't even use that stuff. And then at the end of your life, when you die early and your family is up there doing your funeral, talking about he was a great guy, he worked so hard, but he just wasn't really present. I mean, come on, that's not how our life should end up, man. We need to start growing more old men. We need more because it's rare to find. How many old, healthy men that's not bitter that are out there? We can't find a lot of them. We need to, that's my goal, to create a bunch of old, wise men who don't live in regret, man, but they live based on, how they've won and the things that matter. All right, man. It's been a blessing, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Listen, hey, y'all, so glad that everybody was able to join us for the show today. We do this every third Sunday at 9 a.m. Yeah, I know it's early, but will you commit to yourself to have conversations, to join community, and just put yourself in a place where you can be not just a healthy man, but a healthy man that is going to be there for your family, a healthy man that's going to be there for your church, going to be there for your community, a healthy man that is going to make a difference in this world. We'll see y'all in June. Peace.